Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there. Welcome back.
Welcome back, guys. So we got a morning update, and then we'll be doing a deep dive over on Patreon later after clients. We want to thank our newest Patreon.
Yes, we want to say a great big thank you to Tracy. We appreciate your support.
Thank you guys again. Exclusive videos several times a week over on Patreon, and deep dives sometimes we can't quite get into on other places. Meanwhile, here we see a representative of Russia in the Security Council basically denouncing what Israel has done with the attacks and that led to the death of the Iranian officials. And there's again just guessing and wondering. There's so many rumors of Iranian strikes that are coming back. You know, I think again anything could happen once we get on the other side of the eclipse, and I do think that they really wait for the astrology. They wait for the significance of things to seed themselves into consciousness so they can utilize the consciousness of the masses. Again, we saw this on 2/22/2022 when we had the Pluto return at its peak, and then the whole Ukrainian situation was off and running. And so they waited till that very moment, and then they go. And 3/22, we had a major event. And 3/22 is one of their prime days. We talked about the skull and bones, the Genesis 3/22, Colossians 3/22, slaves obey your human masters as well as your non-human masters. It's all right there. And here you have China, basically the same thing, grave violation of UN Charter and international law. So what we were trying to do was to show yesterday through the prophecies just how they get them fulfilled. And again, they fulfill them through the use of the political agencies, through making it happen. They have people in every spot. I mean, Klaus has gone off and said, "Oh, we have infiltrated every cabinet, every government." Yeah, exactly. I mean, when you get down to it, you can only get so far without the dark systems okay. And anybody else will be stopped. They won't be able to get into a very high place, or if they somehow do squeak into a high place and they don't go along with the system, accidents will happen.
And that's just been the typical pattern, and it's over and over and over. And they're very good at it. They're very good at it, and it does kind of get tiring. And the only thing that we can really do is, strengthen ourselves, stop supporting that system. And as far as the planetary alignments, that's their momentum. They take advantage of these situations because planets sitting in a certain place are going to give them more advantages than if they were not sitting in a certain place, because planets are like personalities. So if you have some guy as a type A personality and he's standing over there to the right, and he's going to make contact with someone else who has a type A personality, you can bet there's going to be a fight there. And the same thing happens with planets and houses and zodiac signs. When they're not comfortable in where they're at, or if they are comfortable where they're at, they can use these situations as momentum. And that's probably the best way I can explain it, is you kind of akin the planets to personalities of people and interactions, how that will go.
Absolutely. So, response will be coming, as the Chinese ambassador says, to allow impunity for such reckless acts would send a seriously wrong signal and would encourage even more risky acts. The red line of international law and the basic norms of international relations has been breached time and time again, and the moral bottom line of human consciousness has been crushed time and time again. So reprisal is coming. I totally expect we'll see more things happen that's going to make sure that the prophecies get fulfilled. Meanwhile, the Russian MOD put out an interesting announcement today. Over 100,000 new contract soldiers have signed up with the Russian military since the start of the year. Of those, more than 16,000 signed up since the terror attack in Moscow 10 days ago. two divisions. It's astonishing to this person that serious people still think there's going to be some kind of Ukraine left. No, when Russia really wants to go, they will go. They have just been dwindling down NATO military supplies and equipment. They're waiting for the bigger cue, the bigger key. And again, I think it's in the stars, or in this case, in the sun and the moon, and the positioning of the eclipse. This final eclipse is the signal to begin the end of the U.S. and NATO as the prime power structure on the planet. This is exactly what they're waiting for. So, that's only 5 days away. After that point in time, I think, I wouldn't be surprised with anything that happens. And we see that there was 30 Chinese warplanes and 9 Navy vessels detected around Taiwan. And this was at the same time as the quake was going off. But this has been the normal case. Taiwan, as back in 2005, General Hao Shan said, Taiwan's nothing. Really, you eliminate the United States, then everything else will fall into place. Meanwhile, in Jerusalem, you have thousands of, tens of thousands of people taken to the streets again. Now, the last time we saw them coming close to Netanyahu's house, well, that's when the whole Gaza thing started. And this is what Cindy was saying when I was showing her this. She said, oh boy, now what are they going to do to divert attention elsewhere again before the people literally remove him? They're calling for new elections. They don't want him there. Nobody really wants Trudeau in his place, or Macron in his place, or Biden, or any of these people where they are, besides the ones that are in the system, or they've sniffed too much glue in their lifetimes.
Well, there's this line of clarity that's becoming clearer and clearer, that people are very dissatisfied with the positions that other people are holding, and there's really not very many ways to keep it hidden. And when things get too rough, or the crowds push back too hard, we see what happens. Major cataclysms happen, or major horrible things to other people happen, because they have that ability. And if the off-planet controllers need something to be done, well, they can wiggle a finger and they can have that button pushed, or they can have that thing done. These off-planet controllers, this is how they operate. They need certain humans in position, and if that gets compromised, they're going to create chaos somewhere else. Unfortunately, it has to do with harming other humans, and that's where we need to stop separating ourselves. We are a group of humans. We need to help each other, and those that are in higher positions seem to think that they are not. They are not needed to help others. But I don't know. We have a ways to go. There's a separation occurring, and all we can do is strengthen ourselves and go with that separation.
And we've seen so much chaos across not just the U.S., everywhere, when it comes to this conflict that goes back thousands of years. Yes, this is New Jersey, and it's out there that the intent was to literally storm a synagogue because of everything that's going on over in Gaza, where absolutely there is an extermination of people. It's every bit as brutal, or more brutal in some ways, than anything we've seen, because it is totally complete. These people are trapped. They've been trapped. They're just, there's no other way to word it. They've been trapped. They have nowhere to go. They're being absolutely pulverized on purpose. It's gone beyond that Old Testament eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, and literally it's timesing it by 1,000,000. And its purpose is to bring about this world war, and also just simple hatred and division. And this is exactly what they do. This is exactly what happened in the past, and we're watching it happen again. And yet so many people, don't see the bigger picture still. They're still blinded by their Their by their religious programming, their political programming, as you see here. This is in Taiwan after the quake. There have been, last time I looked, 28 aftershocks, and we can bring that up. Somebody had mentioned coronal hole, and I don't think a typical coronal hole is going to cause the quake that we saw. This was the biggest in 25 years. When I started the channel, before deep diving as deep as I've gone and having Cindy's access to the guides, I was stressing more the natural cycles, and I was also in direct contact and conversation with David, Adapt 2030, all the time. And, we struck up quite a friendship. Now, I always felt there was much more technology involved in this, because I've always known the extraterrestrial intervention aspect of it, going back to being a teenage kid. That's when it hit me. As you look at all this, quite a few aftershocks here. Let's see, where are we up to right here? Yeah, okay, so we have 28 aftershocks, including the large one. Now they're down in the 4s. They were all in the 5s for a while. You can see the big one here, 7.4, 7.5, a lot of sources. This energy will also more than likely transfer in some major way across the Pacific plate. So we will definitely keep our eyes open. But what I was going to say was, I didn't have the system ostracizing me when I was talking more about 12,000 year cycles and different things like that. In fact, the system was pushing the growth of the channel. And at one point in time, Evolutionary was at an extremely high place in channels ranked on YouTube by the ranking organizations that rank the channels. And it was right when we mentioned the possibility of what's going to happen with the plague upon the land back in May of 2019, that the channel got ostracized and never was allowed to grow anymore. And so we did have, again, a 980,000 view video, and several that were hundreds of thousands of views, especially when we were talking about the natural side, because the natural covers up and takes responsibility away from the system. As you see, people, this would be terrifying, being way up off the ground and being shaken during a 7.4, 7.5 quake. I don't know how people still live in these locations. And I understand people are born into their areas and all, but it's just me. I'm somebody that has packed up and moved a million times, and that's just me, gypsy by nature. So as you see here, look at that, from all the landslides that developed with that shaking. That was massive shaking. Again, they usually tend to downplay these events. So in years past, would this have ranked much higher? Could have.
Well, you got to look at things and you have to weigh them and have a bigger understanding of what's going on, because I do believe that we have control over the situation. I do believe that our energy makes a difference. I do believe that we can sit and meditate and send energy to these people and make an impact, and a positive impact on whatever is happening over there. So, I mean, this is just terrifying. Being, if you're there and you're someone and you have the force of nature just coming up against you, what are you going to do? You're just one little human, but all of us have that ability to shine light, send energy, and help others. These controllers are definitely going to do whatever they can to make it look like, they're not doing anything. No, it's not the technologies that are out there. It's not the harps the angels play. It's not, it's not the circular CERN that's opening portals. No, it's not that. It's a coronal hole. No, I don't believe that for a second. I mean, I look at the technology that they have, and you can go to these websites and they have these certain things in it, and we can get an idea of that. But I also think that it's really easy for somebody to tap on a keyboard and create this vision of these tools and these things that are controlling the planet. No, I'm not going to let the controllers off that easy. I know exactly what they're doing. I know that it's them, and they definitely take advantage of the cycles. They take advantage of Earth's already her nature, but she understands and she knows where people are, and she's not going to screw with those locations to the point that it's going to kill her children. She's just not. We've been messed with so bad that we no longer have that ability to see and sense like animals do when there is a giant earthquake coming. I guarantee you the animals were reacting well before any of this occurred over here. And that's something that's really been dulled inside of us, that we need to resharpen that and have an understanding of really what's going on again.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've seen comments that just show the fear-based indoctrination that the people have received. It just solidifies just how deep that is, as people will say, I pray to my divine father, and I'll make a comment, well, how about the mother, the divine mother? And they'll be like, why? There is no divine mother. And it's like, you wonder why you don't have a connection to the environment. You wonder why you have no idea when storms are coming, or, there's this total disconnect with nature purposely. They've disconnected us from nature purposely. This is why we're surrounded with the frequencies, and we're surrounded with all the non-organic materials in the big cities. You're not going to be able to be connected to nature to the degree that you could be out in nature in a city, especially when you have the FIVEG and stuff turned up to the point where now you're getting these clusters of people developing, very advanced, aggressive, big C's, CANCER. It's just what all those, piracy cons have been saying. Yeah, obviously they're frying you. They're literally frying you, and this, you can't escape those signals. I mean, we could try to walk around with ourselves in a Faraday cage as you look at a 21 to 83 centimeter tsunami. No big wall of water, but certainly it could push, and as it is pushing these boats out of the way, right now they say 9 confirmed deaths, but you just don't know. It's going to take a while to figure out exactly what has happened. It'll take days. It always takes days and weeks, honestly. And sometimes we never even get answers. I mean, what about Hawaii? How many, what about the kids that are missing from Hawaii? Yeah, it's like it just gets forgotten. What about, the Libyan floods? What about the Moroccan earthquake? I mean, we could go on. Anybody remember East Palestine, Ohio? There's been so many things. Can we keep track of all these things? No. And these they want you to think it's just acts of gods. Just acts of God, or, in this age, or act of the gods. But this is Newcastle, Kentucky, so there's a lot of damaging tornadoes going on. This is the time of year. This is hang on tight tornado time. Conyers, Georgia, been through this area many times. You see, again, there's always going to be challenges wherever we go. And whether we're on the coastlines, which at this point in time, this is the message that to me has been really loud and clear, because I would love to be on a coastline, but we're not. And the reason we're not is because, we don't feel it's going to be safe. We're also not in any big cities. The largest city to us is literally I don't know, maybe 20 or 30,000 people, and it's a ways away. So we are like 5 hours away, 5 hours minimum away from any population of 1 million or more. And that's the way we planned it. And I still would rather be farther out. But then again, we'd have to be in much colder, shorter growing season to do that. So pick your poison is again what we're trying to get across. And the thing to realize too, and I know you're tired, guys, this stuff is tiring, is that as much as we want to be rooted and settled in one place, and that is the healthiest situation, so much of humanity is going to be migrants in this time. This is what this time does. And this is why there's pockets of humanity that come out of this time from certain locations. We've seen this. When you look at the Native American creation stories, you kind of note that they all come out of the same area. It's like all the tribes kind of ended up coming from one particular area where people literally survived the Younger Dryas cataclysm, and then they emerged in the American Southwest. And when you look at it, that's the creation myth. It's not the creation of planet Earth. It's the creation of the survivors of the last huge reset. Let's say that. As you see, incredible tornado genesis in Conyers. Incredible. This embedded supercell went from little rotation to a tornado on the ground in 5 minutes. Amazing. I wonder how that could happen. Oh, sure, it's just a natural cycle. No, it's technology, guys. There's how many tens of thousands of satellites? Do you realize there's satellites that have been in place in our orbit for thousands of years? Yes, and we know about them. A massive solar panel farm in Texas was destroyed by a hailstorm, and now it's causing contamination in the groundwater. Whether it's fracking or this, lithium batteries that explode, make sure to keep them separate from the gas when you're storing things. If you have anything that's battery powered, just in case. This is all done with multiple purposes. So Big New Hope turns out to be a dud, and it also turns out to contaminate things. Well, this is again how anti-life the system is, because life needs to be short so that humans don't wake up. And also, they don't need humans flying around anymore. Anthony Blinken's jet suffers mechanical issue at Paris airport. When the strike comes, which is not far, and again, we do expect it this year, the guides were pointing to about 2 months from now is the timeline that they had given us for the big stuff here in the USA, and it could happen before that as well. Things won't really be the same. Again, it's all ramping up in stages, and when do we really go back and repeal things? They keep putting things into law. They keep moving forward with their agendas, even though everybody's waking up.
Mm-hmm. Well, what I did see, we did a video on it the other day, is Louisiana folks are going to more local levels where there actually is a lot of power, more power, not all the power, but there's more power at your local levels to make sure that these other great big giants don't have any say in how they go about their business and what they're telling people to do as far as how they take care of their bodies. So it's happening, but it has to happen at a very local level, a very personal level. It has to be really rooted from the ground, and people have to connect at a heart level and just really look each other in the eye and say, okay, I am not going to allow these entities to come in here and screw with those people that I have control over, whether we're talking about, a local mayor or whatever. There should be some type of relationship at that ground level, because I think that's where our power is. Now, most of the power lies within you. You are the one who needs to set the standard, who needs to set the living conditions for how you want to live, and then your energy emanates out from there. But there's still so much to do with that heart connection with other humans, and we need to get back to that.
Absolutely. And look at how these guys get along, and not exactly the same species. The other thing, and for me, I look at them and I recognize that what is in that body having an experience, there really is no difference between the essence of that and what's in human bodies. Now, the system and the belief system that predominates on the planet will say they're totally different, but they're not. It should be just so obvious.
Well, you look at them and you can see that they don't have the ability to speak like we do, so they have to be very good at empathic notes to one another. So these beings, to me, are far superior to anything. I mean, they really are in touch with each other, and they're in touch with the earth, and that's where we should strive to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we've been cut off from the very mother that feeds us and gives us the life force. So, and that is completely purposeful. As always, guys, thanks for your support. Source bless. Look forward to your comments. Namaste.
Namaste.